Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Well, it's been a long day. It is actually 9:42 p.m. and I am vlogging early. I want to vlog early and kind of get it done early. I might meet my good Judy Valerie at the casino. I'm not sure yet. I have a long day tomorrow because I have to get up early. I want to make my videos, and then I have to be on the road to Seymour to go to my friend's celebration of life and viewing. I have to be down there by 3:30, which means I have to leave Indianapolis by 2 o'clock. So I should be able to get all that stuff done by tomorrow. But this, last night I said it wasn't going to be a really long vlog, and then it ended up being like 45 minutes, and I really planned on it being like a half an hour or so. I know I say this every night, but this is not going to be a super long vlog. I just took Tanya Jean to the gas station to get a fountain Coke, and I got a bottle of water. So anyway, we had our meeting tonight, but we had a meeting before the meeting, so we were there at 5:30, but traffic was so bad we got there at like, I don't know, closer to 6. So we've been there from like 6 to like 9:15, and it is a beautiful evening in Indiana. It is 73 degrees. It is so nice. It is so pretty. But I have to tell you that apparently today has been some of the worst like pollen count in Indiana, and my allergies have been off the charts. My throat is itching. I've been congested. I took my allergy medicine. It's still not helping me. And my eyes have been watering. The allergy medicine that I take, which is called aloe vera, it's the only thing I can take. So anyway, it's somewhat helpful, but like my allergy headaches are so bad, you guys. Like it's just like throbbing. And it was interesting because I saw a couple people on social media mentioning the allergies in Indiana today. I think Arlena said something about it and was right. It's horrible. But I got up today. I had so many things. I had so many errands I had to run. I had this FedEx box. FedEx kept on like leaving notes on my door, and apparently there was something that I needed to sign for. So they had left like 4, and I never got it. So finally, you can like call and like have them leave it at a FedEx place. So they called today and said that it was where I had said I was gonna leave it, at that FedEx branch, which was inside of a Walgreens. So I first went there to pick that up, and it was the Anastasia of Beverly Hills PR box for the Alyssa Edwards collab that they did with her, because so many of you reached out to Norvina and ABH and said Peter Monn says beast in all of his videos. He loves Alyssa Edwards. You should send him PR. So Norvina reached out to me, and she was so sweet. She was really, really nice. And she was like, hey, like, I've heard that you really love Alyssa Edwards and that you say beast in your videos, and that people are saying that I should send you some of my PR for her collection, and would you be interested? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that would be such an honor. Oh, I forgot. I'm coming this way, and I forgot the road is closed up here. Great. So anyway, she was so nice, and we kind of talked back and forth for a little bit. And so I got that today, and I showed it in my video on my drama channel. That was really, really cool. Like, things that I never would have expected, you know, back in the day. Some of the cool opportunities I had. And then somebody out there, I don't know who it was, sent me one of the fans from the collection. I got it in my PR box, and yeah, but there's no, like, on the inside, like with the note and the receipt and stuff, it doesn't say who sent it to me. So whoever you are, will you please send me like a DM or an email or something and let me know that you sent it to me, because I want to thank you appropriately. It was so nice. So I now have 2 Beast fans. I'm so excited. And I have a Beast mirror, and I have the Anastasia of Beverly Hills palette. But I'm not really sure, well, the Alyssa Edwards one, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with the palette. So I'm thinking about, I have somebody that I think I'm going to give it to as a special little present. But so yeah, so anyway, there's that. So I went and did that, then I went and got coffee, and then I had to go pick up PP's medicine. This one medicine that we have of his, they only ever call in, like, I noticed today they gave, like, I noticed when I called it in, that they had, the last time I picked it up, they gave us 8 pills. And that the prescription, like, that was the last prescription. And so I called the pharmacy and I was like, is there any way that, like, they only give us, like, 8 pills? Like, that was a lot, that was really a small amount, because he takes 2 of them a day. So, I was like, is there any way that you can give us, like, a 30-day supply of this? And they're like, oh yeah, with a dog, like, that's not a problem whatsoever. We just need to have it from, like, the vet that we can do that. And he goes, do you want me to call the vet? Now, in the past, I've always called the vet. And I was like, well, if you guys don't mind, he goes, oh, no, we'll get, you know, we'll get it refilled for you and all that kind of stuff. So, I went today and I picked up the prescriptions, and they gave us, like, 30 days of each meds, which is fantastic, because now, well, I think the vet medin, which is the one that they've been not giving us a lot, it seemed like it was like a box with the bottle inside. It's like how it comes to the pharmacy. So, like, they've given it to us like that before. I don't know that it's 30-day supply, but I think it's 30 pills, which would be 15, which is a lot better than what we were doing before. So, there's that. And then, what else did I do after that? I came home and I made a video for my Peter Monn channel, and I started uploading the vlog. Now, I can tell you, it's 9:48 right now, and I'm vlogging, and my vlog is uploaded at home, but I haven't published it yet because I have to go home and put the description or finalize. I think I already have that in there, but I have to finalize everything, like the end cards and stuff, and then put it up. So my vlog today, not this vlog, but the one from yesterday, if you're watching this, it's the one from yesterday, went up late because of that, because I was in such a hurry tonight. I had to go pick up Tanya. I took like a 5-minute shower and, like, washed my hair and my face, and, like, got out and lotioned real quick, and then, like, just threw on a t-shirt and jean shorts and this hat, and it was, like, out the door. And we still got stuck in quitting hour traffic. Well, gas line was down right along here. So this was all closed where I'm driving now. So we had to take this other road, which is really pretty. We don't ever take that road. And Tanya was like, we were listening to country music, and Tanya was like, I forget how much I love, like, the country roads in Indiana. And I do too, but. So yeah, that was today. And then Alex has been at home, and he texted me. He got done from work at 6. He is so ready for this weekend. He has planned outfits for his music festival. He's so excited. And he got a bunch of packages in the mail. I got my 2 new D-squared hats in the mail today, my 2 new Icon hats, but I probably won't wear them a lot. The one hat is a baseball hat, and it doesn't fit my head because I'm still heavier, so when I lose some weight, I'll start wearing that one more. It fits my head, but it's just, it looks small for my head. And then the other one is like exactly like this, but this is red plaid, and the lettering I think is yellow, and then this is black, like see-through mesh. It's a trucker hat, but I'm gonna save that for more like the fall, because it's kind of a fall-winter hat. So those came today in the mail. And then Alex got a bunch of stuff in the mail, some clothes from Urban Outfitters, because he said it was like 40% off. And I'd given him a gift card, I think, for Christmas. I think he may have used that, I don't know. So anyway, he got like 2 packages in the mail from them. And he was at home, and he said he was, like, cleaning the bathroom floor and getting his stuff ready and hanging out with the dogs. So I was like, well, I think I'm gonna get my vlog done early tonight while he's just kind of hanging out at home with the dogs and doing that kind of stuff. And he was, like, cleaning or something when I talked to him, and or when he texted me. Yeah, so there's that. And this weekend is a PP and Peter's bachelor weekend. Well, it's really Friday and Saturday night, because he'll be home Sunday night. So it's 2 days, but. And I'm gonna do some live streams. I'm gonna try to do a live stream Friday and Saturday night. So if you're watching this, I will let you know when I'm gonna do it in my vlog. My Thursday vlog, I will let you know when I'm gonna be on Friday, and my Friday vlog, I'll let you know when I'm gonna be on Saturday, so you guys will know. So yeah. And I'm almost done with Brave Face by Sean David Hutchinson. I listened to a lot of it last night, a lot of it today, and I have like an hour and a half left of it, maybe an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm hoping to finish that tonight, and then tomorrow on my way to Seymour, which is where my friend's viewing is, in the Celebration of Life, I'm hoping to start Killer Clown and listen to that on the way down there. But I also kind of want to just listen to some music that reminds me of my friend. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, I have been, since my ex and I broke up, he doesn't live in Seymour, he lives here in Indianapolis, but, and he's not going to the funeral, but since my ex and I broke up, I have only been to Seymour twice. Once, because Boo and Tucker are actually from Seymour, where my ex is from. The dogs that we got were like where my friend Scott worked. He used to work at a place called Seymour Tubing. He worked there for a while. Seymour Tubing is like here, and there's this cross street, and that cross street, there's a house like two or five houses in somewhere. It's like in the first 5 houses on the right. That's where we got Boo and Tucker. It was so weird going down there and getting them because of that. And I always thought that was kind of strange that we got them from this city where, you know, I used to spend so much time. But then the other time was when I went down there like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. I don't know. I think it was 3 years ago because I had started my BookTube channel. And I had gone with my 2 girlfriends, and we had gone to Waffle House and met up with my friend Scott, who was in an assisted living program at that time. And apparently, I don't know a lot about it. I talked about this last night, but something about when you have like organ failure as a result of like opioids, it was like his liver failures. He had liver and kidney failure. But it was his liver, I think, something about ammonia levels. And so, like, I don't know, I'm not speaking about this as an expert, I don't know anything about it, but what I've heard through them telling me, that was why he was kind of like a little delusional and didn't really know who we were, because his ammonia levels are off. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. And I have to honestly say that, you know, in my 24 years of being sober, I have known a lot of people that have passed from overdoses. I can't even count at this point how many. People that have died from, you know, drunken driving accidents, overdoses, on and on and on. All these things related to drugs and alcohol. But I don't really know anybody personally, other than my friend Scott now, that has died from long-term organ failure because of long-term opioid use. I just have never heard of that before. So I honestly didn't really realize it was a thing. But, you know, like, I remember talking to people, and, you know, people that, you know, are trying to get sober, and then they would like rationalize why they didn't need to get sober because they were too young, and, you know, they were 30, 40. And I would say, well, like, do you know any 70-year-old heroin addicts? I mean, people just don't make it that long. I mean, they just don't. But I didn't really know because of people, like, their bodies shutting down. I cannot. There have been so many of you out there that have shared your stories with me in the last couple days since I've been talking about this, about you had family members that had similar things happen, and I just want you to know how much that meant to me. I really appreciate you guys sharing your stories of loss and being so compassionate about it, you know, and going through it. I say this a lot, that I think we're afraid to talk about addiction. We're afraid to talk about, you know, we'll talk about recovery because that's a lot of success, but a lot of times we're afraid to talk about addiction because if we're the parent, or if we're the friend, or if we're the sister, or the sibling, or the brother, or that grandparent, or, you know, the teacher, or whatever, it's like a lot of times, you know, whoever we are, it's like we don't want to, like, we're afraid to talk about it. I think especially for parents sometimes, because it's like, if I admit to it, then does that say that I'm a bad parent? You know, there's a stigma that goes along with, you know, being somebody that's close to an addict or an alcoholic that's not successful. And so it's sad, you know, like, we don't really want to talk about it a lot unless it is an overdose, if it's like somehow like it's affected them or whatever. Like, you know, I've been to a lot of funerals before where people have died of overdoses and it's not even mentioned at the funeral. Like, it's just not even, it's like not spoken about, right? Because there's a stigma that goes along with it. Or there's kind of like this negative attitude about it. And I know a lot of people, like, I was talking to my friend the other day about this, and a lot of people don't believe that it's a disease, you know? It is a disease by the American Medical Association. It has identifiable signs and symptoms. It is, you know, fatal if you continue to use. It has the same identification markers that any other disease has. So, like, when people say it's not a disease, you're fighting that with the American Medical Association, okay? You're not fighting that with Peter's opinion. You're fighting that with doctors that have said that this is a disease. The thing is that just because it's a disease does not mean that that's an excuse to continue to use, right? Like, I knew that it was a disease when I was offered treatment 5 times. I knew every single time that I went into treatment that it was a disease because I was taught that, right? I also was taught what my medicine was, that abstinence was my medicine, or going to 12-step programs, or finding a spiritual higher power, or working on my inner issues, all of these things, right? Like, I was taught that that was my medicine, and if I did those things, that I would stay clean and sober, hopefully, and if I didn't pick up, that I would stay, you know, clean and sober, and that was my medicine to it. But I know a lot of people that use the idea of it being a disease as an excuse. Well, it's a disease, so, you know, like, they can't help it. Well, that's not true, necessarily, you know? And I think that if you talk to a lot of people that have had successful recovery, they would say to you, that's just not the case. We all have the disease, but we also most of us, if we've been introduced to the solution, you know? The sad thing is, well, it's all sad. It's all sad. But there are a lot of people that will never be introduced to any form of recovery solution whatsoever. Nothing, you know? Not a maintenance drug like Suboxone, not, you know, 12-step programs, not a spiritual higher power, not groups, and not an individual counselor, nothing. They, you know, they won't be introduced to anything. Abstinence, that they're, you know, never offered that. And I think it's why I talk about it a lot on my vlog, is because I want people to know that you have other options. You know, this doesn't have to be your life. And when I was like stuck in the throes of my addiction, like, I really didn't know that there were other options for me. I mean, like, yeah, I knew that I could quit and I could go to 12-step meetings, boring. Like, I didn't want that life. They're all like freaks. They're all nerdy. You know, they're all like super religious. That's like what I thought, right? Like, I mean, I didn't really have any concept of what that life looked like. That's what I thought. Well, they're all Bible thumpers and they just want to talk about God, and they don't want me to have fun anymore, and they're all boring and they're all old. Like, that's what I thought, right? Which is so far from the truth of what I have learned 12-step programs to be. And I'm just sharing my experience, okay? There are people out there that get sober that don't go to 12-step programs, and I support them as well. You have to do what works for you. But this is what works for me. This is just my experience. And, you know, I think that once I was willing to realize that, like, what I've been doing for so long is not working for me. Like, I can't tell you how many times I would go to bed or pass out or be drinking and using and say to myself, this is the last time. Tomorrow, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna drink as much as I can, and then tomorrow I'm gonna get rid of all of it. And then I would wake up the next day and I'd be so hungover, or I'd just be like, I cannot do this today. Like, not today. We'll start this on Friday. It was over and over and over and over again. You know, it's very similar to my weight loss and, you know, like having a food addiction. It's similar to that. And the thinking is the same. But, you know, we talk about this being a thinking disease, not a drinking or a drugging disease, because that's the idea, right? That one is too much and 1,000 is never enough. That once you have that one, like, your thinking is over. And that's why I say on here, you know, like, once that first sip of alcohol would hit my lips consciously and I made that choice, I'd be off to the races. Like, I would be like, okay, well, now I've never had a Xanax, I've never had a Mike's Hard Lemonade, I've never had this. Tanya said to me tonight, we were driving, and she goes, where were we? I think we were just in the car, and she goes, do you know what I saw? And I go, what? And Tanya was a tequila drinker. I hated tequila, but she goes, watermelon tequila. Can I even pronounce it? Tequila. She goes, watermelon tequila. And I was like, really? Like, you know, like, who cares? Like, I didn't like tequila. But if you had said something to me about, like, I liked fun drinking. Like, those kombucha drinks the other night when we went to that thing, like, that would be something that I would want to try. But once I had that one kombucha drink that looks real good to me, it wouldn't be about the kombucha drink. And I'm not talking about the kombucha. I'm talking about, it was kombucha and alcohol mix. They had, like, all of these. It was sponsored by some gin company, so it was kombucha and gin. And I was never a big gin drinker. I mean, I did for a while, but I wasn't a huge gin drinker. But, you know, like, I would have, like, 1 or 2 of those, and I would start feeling it, and I'd be like, now let's get blitzed. You know, like, we left, and my husband was done for the day. You know, we went to go eat Thai food, and he got, like, you know, like a water and, I don't know, something else to drink. I think a Coke or something. I don't remember. But, you know, like, he was done. You know what I mean? Like, that would not be me. Like, my stepmom back in the day, I can remember us going on trips, and, like, she would drink, and she would have fun drinking, but then at, like, 9 o'clock, Diet Coke. And I would be like, why are you drinking Diet Coke? And she'd be like, because I don't want tomorrow to be ruined. I don't want to be hungover tomorrow. Well, hell, I'd sleep until 2 o'clock completely hungover when I got up. Like, I didn't want to do anything. And the whole next day was lost. And she was out at the pool at 10 o'clock because she wasn't hungover, you know? But I don't think that way. Like, once I start, I don't know when it's going to stop. Like, and that's what's scary to me. And if you relate to that, if there's a part of you that relates to that, you might have some form, you might not be a full-blown alcoholic or addict, but you might be somewhere on the spectrum, you know, that like if you think that way. And I'm not talking about binge drinking every once in a blue moon. I'm talking about, but that could be too, you know, I'm talking about when you start, you don't want to stop. Like, that's how it is for me. Or you don't see the point of stopping. You know, like this idea, when I have friends of mine that are like, oh, we went to a Mexican restaurant and I had a margarita. I'm like, really? What for? Because margaritas are disgusting. So, well, it was a strawberry margarita. Okay, it even makes it worse. Why would you want something? You know what I mean? Like, to each his own. But, like, I don't understand the point. Like, I really do not understand the point of going to a Mexican restaurant and having a strawberry margarita. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Like, going to a Mexican restaurant and not having dinner and having 5 strawberry margaritas, that makes a lot of sense to me, okay? But I don't understand the point of going and having just one for the taste. I just really don't get that, because that's not how I'm trained to think in my head. And that for me is, this car is like tailing me. That is where the predisposition comes in for me as being an alcoholic, because I think, like, I've always thought that way. I've always thought as an alcoholic. Like, I don't remember thinking any differently. Everything I've done in my life, you know, up to the point where I started drinking, and even after I did that way, you know what I mean? So, I don't know how I even got on all this, but, so yeah, I'm going tomorrow to this, and I'm excited to see my friends, because I haven't seen them in several years. And I've really only seen them, we've talked a lot on the phone, but I've really only seen them once. And, I mean, since 2007, 12 years. It's weird. It's weird because I talked to them and it feels like it was just yesterday that I was seeing them every weekend, you know? And a lot of time's gone by. And these are people that were very, very important to me. I think it's weird when you go through breakups that, you know, you kind of, it changes everything about your life, you know? And they've been super nice. They're like, you should bring Alex down here for the Oktoberfest and stuff. And Alex and I have talked about it, and we just, it's never happened, you know? You make those plans, and then we were actually talking, I was talking to a girl about this tonight. It's like you make those plans with people, you're like, yeah, let's get together, let's do this, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But then it never really, like, happened, you know? It's like, you don't know why it doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen. And I think it's hard, you know, over time. It's like, life goes on, and it is what it is, you know? But I think going through the things I've gone through recently, I need to make more of an effort to see the people in my life that are important to me. You know, it's interesting because Tanya brought up tonight, she's like, I think you have a tendency to go through phases where you isolate. And I said, okay. And she said, I feel like you're doing it right now. And I said, really? And I know, like, on video you don't see it because you see me, like, you know, every day on here and whatever. And so it's like, to you, it's not. But Tanya was saying, you know, that, like, she was like, yeah, I feel like, you know, like, I've only seen you a couple times recently, and she's like, and I said, well, I've taken your call, you know, I've called you, I've taken your calls, blah, blah, whatever. She's like, I know. She goes, but sometimes I feel like you just kind of close in a little bit. And she was like, I think sometimes when you're going through a lot emotionally, she was like, it's so much for you, you don't know what to do with it. And that is how I am sometimes. You know, it's like, I've had so much loss in the last 2 weeks, and I've really been thinking on a very deep level, you know, like, I think David's graduation really affected me more in a way than I really thought it did, you know, like thinking about my mom and my aunt and uncle, and that was gone, that time was gone, you know. And I was looking at David, and I said to him, I said, do you even remember my mom? Because he is 18 and she passed 11 years ago, so he would have been 7. And I remember him as her funeral because when the casket came into the funeral, my aunt, like they wheeled the casket down, and my aunt and him held hands and walked in front of the casket. And then I walked kind of like after the casket. And, or did we walk? I don't remember, but I remember they were the first two. My mother loved him so much, and he always had this kind of like little like Prince Valiant haircut. People always would be like, he should model. His hair's so different. And so now he's got real long hair, but I remember he was in like a little suit coat and tie, and I said, do you remember my mom? And he was like, yeah, I totally remember your mom. And I was like, you do? And he goes, yeah, I would come over to her house and swim, which that's my pool now, you know. And he said, and I remember, you know, we would go to the Children's Museum, which my mom called she would call it the Kids Museum. And she would say, Kathy took us, I would call her and be like, what'd you do today, Mom? And she'd be like, well, Kathy took us to the Kids Museum. And she would say, Kathy said that we can have whatever. This is so cute of my mom. She would say, my mother loved ice cream. She was obsessed with ice cream. And she would say, Kathy said that we could have whatever we wanted. And so I told her that David and I wanted extra sprinkles. Could we have extra sprinkles on our ice cream? And Kathy said we could have anything we wanted on our ice cream. So we had extra sprinkles on our ice cream. My mother's best friend, a 7-year-old. But anyway, you know, like, and he was like, I remember going to the Children's Museum with her, and he was like, I remember all this, and he remembered a lot about her, you know, and it's been 11 years, you know, it's been a long time, and now my aunt and my uncle are gone, you know, it's weird, it's like a whole new world, and I can kind of tell that Caroline and I, our relationship is changing as a result of it. You know, Caroline and I are now the adults, you know what I mean? Like, we're sitting there having we have for a long time, but like adult conversations, and I think that we realize, like, we're not young anymore, you know, like, I mean, we're just not young anymore, and it's, a lot's happened. A lot of people are gone. A lot of, you know, I was asking her, I said, like, are you having a lot of your mom and dad's friends to David's open house? Because it's this weekend. And she said, yeah, well, I'm having so-and-so, and I'm having so-and-so. And I was like, what else? She goes, Peter, she goes, I'm not in contact with them. And she was like, and half those people have passed away since mom and dad have passed away or before them. I said, really? Like, I didn't know that. This whole generation of people that were my life when I was growing up are gone, you know? And, it's weird. And I can remember, like, when David was young, thinking about going to his high school graduation. I can remember being like, oh, that's gonna be so weird, you know, when, like, David's graduating from high school, and now David's graduated from high school, and now I'm like, it's gonna be so weird when, like, Carlitos and Sebastian are graduating from high school, because, you know, like, Carlitos will be in first grade next year, so that'll be like 12 years, right? And I'm like, that'll be so weird. I'll be like 59. Well, that'll happen like that. Like, it'll happen sooner rather than later, you know? And so that's where I have to really cherish the moments and the time that we're spending together, because it's gonna be here before you know it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just weird. Tanya on the way home was like, do you have any this car is literally riding my ass. Tanya was like, do you have any chapstick? And I was like, yeah. And I said, I have like 3 or 4 different kinds in there. I have like the huge chapstick, and I said, I have like the Tatcha, and I didn't say which ones, but I said, I have some nice ones in there if there's some other ones you want. I go, but honestly, that Mountain Dew is my favorite. And she was like, I love that. And I was like, because I gave her the cherry Pepsi one, I was like, do you want some more? I said, because I just did a review of like 4 of them, and I said, I'll give you like 2 of them if you want. And she was like, yeah, I love them. She's like, I can keep one in my car. And this car is so close to my ass, I literally cannot see it through my side window. Are they pulling over? Here, they're gonna go. Oh, now they're doing it to the car in front of me. Okay, well, you got somewhere to go. rock on gold dust woman. I think it is so hilarious. When I put that up the other day, I said something, and so many people were like, I thought it was rock on gorgeous woman. I loved that. But yeah, I have a lot of memories in Seymour, you know. I used to go down there all the time, and, you know, we would go down there on the weekends, and, I mean, like, literally at least one weekend a month, if not more, we would get a hotel room, like a Friday and a Saturday night at, the Hampton Inn, which is like right off the interstate. And then, you know, we would go down there like Saturday and Sunday night. Did I say that? Did I say Friday and Saturday? Saturday and Sunday, because we work Tuesday through Saturday. And then we would show up, and then we would, like, you know, take showers and stuff, and we would go to dinner with our girlfriends, and then we would, like, either just, like, drive around and, you know, go to the Walmart, or go to the TA, play video games, go shoot pool at O'Brien Street, or we would go down to, like, Argosy Casino. We did that a lot, or Caesars, which is by Southern Indiana. You know, it's kind of sad to me because, like, my memories of Scott are really before he started using substances. Like, after we broke up, like, I heard some stuff, and, like, I talked about that the other night on here. But, like, when we were friends, like, he would have a drink. He would have, like, a cocktail or something. I remember when we went to Gatlinburg, and he went with us, and my mom, he bought, like, 4 wine coolers, and they sat there, like, the whole week in the refrigerator, and he never drank them until, like, the very end. But, the Scott that I knew, I feel like I've known so many people in my life that, like, I knew him when they didn't. I have another friend like this. I have a friend of mine. I don't know what his story is today because I don't know anybody that he's friends with, but I see pictures of him every once in a while on Facebook. But he and I were really good friends. My friend that I went to kindergarten, elementary, junior high, and high school with, she never really used. I mean, she and I sometimes back in the day we smoked pot or we drank a lot together, but other than that, that was it. Like, and I'm talking when we were super young. I mean, not 10, but like high school, you know? She doesn't do any of that stuff in a while, and she hasn't in forever. And, I mean, I don't even think she drinks. And I don't think she's drank since she was, like, in her early 20s. And, but she introduced me to this guy that she was friends with. And this was right after I got out of treatment, I got sober. And he was gay, and he and I became really, really good friends. And he did not, the only thing he did was smoke cigarettes. He didn't drink, he didn't like drugs, he hated drugs, he was really against drugs. And so he was a really good person for me to hang out with. Actually, 2 people. There was another friend of mine, my friend Marty, who I actually was at a gas station talking to some girl. I was like, hey, how's Marty? I haven't talked to Marty in a long time. And she's like, did you not know that he passed away? Another friend of mine that passed away. I have, like, my youth is just gone at this point. Like, everybody that I knew back in the day is like, and a lot of my friends from when I was out back in the day are dead from drugs. I mean, a lot of them. So anyway, this guy Marty and my other friend, Marty's gone, but, and my other friend, they kept me busy. Like I hung out at this guy's house literally like every night. Like, we hung out all the time, and he would make mix tapes for me, and he was just loved all kinds of music. He was real cool, real different, and we were such good friends. It was never romantic, it was just friends. And he was so cool and just so supportive of me, and, you know, would never put me in situations that were like unsafe or uncomfortable for my sobriety. We went to a lot of concerts. He took me to my first Fish concert. I just had a blast with him, right? But, you know, I started working, I got in a relationship, our friendship kind of faded out a little bit and whatever. Well, through the years, I heard that he got hooked on meth. I have no idea how. I literally, this guy was so anti-drugs. Well, flash forward, years later, I see this picture of him, and I could not believe it. This guy was never super thin to begin with, but he was, like, emaciated, and he looked like pictures that you see of, like, meth addicts. It was so sad. It was so sad. And Indiana is such a meth city anyway. The country area of Indianapolis is just flooded with it, right? And it's everywhere. And it's a lot in the gay community in Indianapolis too, or was in the past. And it's just so sad to me. And like meth is one of the most addicting drugs out there. And I was like, I remember, you know, here's an addict thinking this way, right? And I'm thinking to myself, how is this guy who was so positive, so fun, and he just looked like a shell of himself, just looked empty and lost, you know? And I'm like, how is this guy that I was such great friends with, that was just so anti-drug, like not like didn't judge people for it, but just he was like, he never even smoked pot, I don't think, ever, you know, never like once had smoked pot, and never drank. He smoked cigarettes, but that was it. And I remember he was so wholesome, you know. And I remember like my friend Marty, his death didn't have, he had like some disease that was like a genetic disease. His death didn't have anything to do with drugs or alcohol, but I was like, how did like this happen? Like, I don't understand, you know? And that's the power of drugs. Like, that is truly the power of drugs, you know? I remember when I started using cocaine, and I had always, and I mean, in all honesty, I kind of wanted to use cocaine. I was always kind of, it was alluring to me. And I remember the night that I started using it, it was with my friend Duke that ended up taking his life, and he was friends with this drag queen. I don't know if she's still alive, so I won't say her name, but she was from a different city, and she was visiting, and she sold it. And I remember we went over to Duke's apartment, and this drag queen was like, "You're sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "We're going to smoke it, we're going to snort it, we're going to gum it, we're going to do everything." And I remember my friend, the one that I was friends with since kindergarten, she looked at me and she said, "Please do not do this." She was like, you are somebody that gets so addicted so quickly. Please do not do this. Please do not do this. And we sat there, and I remember we started at like 10 o'clock at night, and we did it till like 4 or 5 the next morning, and she was in the other bedroom, and she was pissed. She was so mad at my friend Duke, and she was so mad. She was like, "You are doing this to Peter, blah, blah, blah." I mean, like, I was an adult. I could make those choices, right? And my ex-boyfriend had something to do with it, too. I think he was there. And she was like, because he was really the one that introduced me to it. And she was like, you know, this blah, 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 Peter's, you know, he's going to be up for 5 days and whatever. And what was so weird that I should have known was we went home, and I'll never forget. I went home, walked through the door, and this is after hours of doing it, right? I walked through the door, and I was asleep like that. Like, I was absolutely asleep. And I felt so in control with that drug. I literally used it, and I was hooked. Period. End of story. This shit is no joke, you guys. Like, when I tell these stories, like, I don't tell them as drugs war stories. I tell them as fearful, scary. They should be scary to people. The fact that I ever made it out of that alive, I mean, I have no idea to this day why me. I really have no idea. You know, it's like, I've shared this on here before, but the year that Schindler's List won, there was a documentary about the Holocaust that won, and Steven Spielberg had something to do with directing that movie or produced it or whatever. And they had this woman in there, and she was a survivor of the Holocaust. And so they let her accept the award. And she said, for the last 40 or last 50 years, every day I have asked myself, why me? I am no different. Referring to why is she a survivor? You know, why me? I am no different. And that so resonates with me about my sobriety. Why me? Like, I am no different. You know, but for the grace of God, honest to God, like, why me? Why did I get it? And I've lost all of these people, you know, in my life. I'm grateful. I'm super, super grateful for it, right? My addiction sometimes took me 10 times worse than it took other people, and they're dead from their disease, and I'm not. Or they're dead from their addiction or whatever, and I'm not, you know? There was this bar in Indianapolis, and it was called Utopia. It was actually where I met my ex, and it was a lesbian bar. But on Sunday nights, they had like a gay guy night. I think we called it gay boy nights back in the day, but anyway, it was a fun night. And it was, they had this like thing that would look down on the dance floor, and it went all the way around, and so you could stand up and look down at people dancing, and that was where I actually saw my ex for the first time. But back in the corner, they had like this VIP section, right? And it was like were all like the popular ravers and the after party. They were all the people that would like throw the after parties and stuff, and they were all over there. They are all, literally, you guys, they are all dead. When I see those faces in my head, it's like dead, 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 dead. I mean, they're all gone from drugs. So any conversation that I would ever have about it is only because I don't want that happening to somebody again, you know? And I don't think that I'm so powerful that I'm going to stop somebody else from doing it. I don't. But maybe if it just one person hears it, just one. If I'm on YouTube in my vlogs for 20 years and I talk about my recovery story and just one person says, because I heard it, I've had enough, I want to do something different, which I have to say, I've heard some people have come to me and said, you know, like, thank you for your support, I ended up going into treatment, whatever, but not because of me, you know, I don't take responsibility for that. But if only one person in, let's say, 20 years, if I was to vlog, got it, that would be worth it for me. That would totally, just if one person changed their life because of that. Because when I got sober, the people that share their stories with me, that's why I'm here today. Because I realized I wasn't alone. Because I realized if they can do it, I can do it. Because people that had it 10 times worse than I ever did, they're still here today. And if they could do it, then I knew that I could. You know? And I think we have to normalize it for people. We have to destigmatize addiction. Because it's literally everywhere, you know? It's like I did this, you know, I said something in a video the other day about every 9 minutes somebody dies of an opioid overdose. And somebody said to me, like in the comment sections, they said something to the effect, I've got one comment, and it said something to the effect of, oh shoot, I can't remember how it was stated, but like, that I was using sympathy for views or something like that. Which, okay, whatever. But that wasn't what bothered me about it. What bothered me about it was the ignorance of the statement, because the reality is that was a statistic that I stated from the Center for Disease Control. It's actually a statistic from 2017. The rate has actually gone up since then. So people are dying more often than that, okay? So to think that, okay, I've been on here now for 18 minutes, and then what, 23 minutes before that, so what is that? Hold on a second. So 23, 33, 41 minutes. So 4 people have died since I've been filming this vlog from an opioid overdose. That is not sympathy votes, okay? That is not views for sympathy. That is reality, and that is some scary shit. And if we can't take that seriously and start talking about it and start talking to people and reaching out and not being scared of them, and destigmatizing this and talking about it and coming up with affordable treatment options for people, because the reality is the most people that don't go to treatment is because they cannot afford it. It's the same thing with mental health treatment. The reason that people don't get in the United States, this is the truth right here. We can sit here and we can pretty it up in as many ways as we want to. I think something like 80% of the US population suffers from some form of depression or anxiety, okay? 80%. Do you know why most people don't get treatment options? They can't afford it. There's not affordable mental health and addiction treatment out there. This is a problem. And I know I sound real preachy right now, but when we're sitting there and, you know, we're talking about elections, and I'm not going to get political about this, but when we're talking about where to put our energy and, you know, volunteer services and all this kind of stuff, like, there's a war going on right there, going on right now with people that we love in our country, because most of us have been affected by an alcoholic or an addict if we're not one ourselves. And 1 every 9 minutes is dying, and we need to be listening to the people that are going to actually change those things and make affordable treatment options for people. Treatment is expensive. Treatment in our country can cost upwards to $1,000 a day minimum sometimes for detox, you know? Who can afford that? Most people can't. Places like the Salvation Army Detox, if you're willing to even like go, and most cities and states have them, there's a waiting list. I know ours has a waiting list of like 3 weeks. Who can wait? Okay, so you're going through major withdrawals and you're gonna wait 3 weeks? Who's gonna do that? No. And then people in the interim, they die. it's so sad to me, you know? And so I share my story because I want people, before they ever get to the point where it has to be that bad, they go, you know what, I can do something about this. I can do something today. And you can do something about this. You can change your life. And I know me saying it in a video isn't gonna change somebody's mind. I know how effing scary it is to sit there and all you know is using, drinking, drugging. I know how that is. That is all you know. That's all you know. And all your friends do it. And you lie to your family. So to be honest with them about it means you're gonna have to tell them what you've been doing, and it's scary. And you don't know what your life is gonna look like if you stop, right? This is reality for alcoholics and addicts. This is why a lot of alcoholics and addicts don't get help, because they're scared of what it's gonna look like. And it's gonna be hard. I'm telling you, it's gonna be the hardest. My counselor looked at me when I was in treatment and she said, this will be the hardest thing that you ever do, but it will be the most valuable thing that you ever do. And it has been the most valuable thing that I've ever done. It has also been the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. And it's the greatest gift I've ever been given. My sobriety is the greatest gift I have ever been given in my life. It's the foundation for everything that I have. So please, if you're struggling out there, or you know somebody that's struggling out there, help find, you know, all you have to, I always put resources underneath there, but you don't have to do that, or I don't have to do that. Just Google, like, I live in Texas, you know, like, let's say if, you know, you live in, I don't know, Houston or Dallas, Texas, and then you Google, you know, like, free drug and alcohol treatment, and it'll pull up the resources that you have. Or call the closest hospital to you and say, hey, I need help, or I have a friend that needs help. Can you recommend me somewhere that has affordable treatment, you know, a sliding fee scale? Or do you have a case, you know, a community mental health center, because I can't afford this and I need help? Because most cities have community mental health centers. I'm not saying that they have the best options and the best, but they have something, you know, wraparound services and things like that. It's just, we need to start directing people to get the help they need. We really do, you know. So sad to me. I talked on here yesterday about people silently suffering. Well, there are people that are silently suffering with addiction and mental health issues that don't really know what to do. And they don't know where to go and reach out. So anyway, and I also try to be an example of what sobriety looks like and can be. That it can be fun, that it can be, you know, like, we're not a glum lot, that that's why I show my friendship with Tanya, and I show traveling and things, that this is the life that you can have. I didn't believe that this was the life that I could have back in the day. I just didn't. I thought it was just going to be doom and misery for the rest of my life. I really did. I thought, well, I guess this is it, you know. Could never have a drink again at my own wedding or on a beach. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you think about it. You don't think about it like, I mean, this is the reality, okay? When you're thinking about quitting, you think to yourself, well, I guess I'll never be able to have a beer on the beach again, or I guess I'll never be able to drink a glass of champagne at my own wedding. Well, a glass of champagne at my own wedding, or somebody's wedding, or a beer on the beach was never my problem, okay? My problem was drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels and like you know, an Old E or a Colt 45 or 3 of them before 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I had the shakes so bad. Like, that's the problem. Let's be realistic. You know what I mean? Like, my life was in shambles. It was a mess. Okay, so I don't get to have a glass of champagne at my wedding, and I don't get to have a beer on the beach. What's the trade-off? That I have an amazing life? Hey, I'll take that trade-off. You know what I mean? Do I miss it sometimes? Sure. Do I think that it sounds fun? Yes. We went to this, for Mother's Day, we went to this restaurant. I think I even talked about it on here. And my brother-in-law got a beer, and it was like in this mayonnaise jar, and it had like a lime floating in it. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, oh, it's beer, and this is how we do when we're in. He was telling me that when in Venezuela, they, like, on the beach, they take like 2 liters and they cut them in half and they fill them with beer and they put limes in them, and that's how they drink them on the beach. And I thought, my God, that sounds like fun. I never got to do all that. But I don't need to do all that, because the trade-off is more important to me of what I get, of even being able to have that conversation, you know? And I have to know who I am, and I know who I am, and I'm that person that if I was standing on that beach because that beer with the limes were that important to me, I wouldn't have the rest of it. I wouldn't have this. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have Alex, I wouldn't have Tanya, I wouldn't have my friends or my family, I wouldn't have my house, my relationships with my father. I would definitely not have my relationship with my father or my stepmom. They would be the first ones that I would exit out stage left immediately. I wouldn't have YouTube or you guys or the opportunity to make videos and have people watch it. I would be a mess, you know? And so I think it's important for people to see not just scared straight tactics of this is what could happen and you could end up dead. Yes, I think it's important to know that. But I think it's also important for people to see witnesses of what a sober life can be and how much fun it can be, you know? One of the things I love is like my friend Melissa, you know, Melissa and Jason, like she doesn't drink. Now Jason drinks, he drinks, we'll go someplace, he'll have like a, what is it called? Oh, there's a beer that he likes, Angry Orchard, I think. You know, he'll have an Angry Orchard or whatever. But like Melissa doesn't drink by choice. And I can remember when I first asked her and she's like, you know, I did enough of it in college and I just made the decision that I wasn't gonna drink anymore. Now I have seen her maybe in all the time that we've been friends, which is now going on 8 or 9 years, like I have seen her like maybe once have a shot for somebody's birthday and she had like a third of the shot or a fourth of the shot. She didn't even finish it, right? Because it would be a bunch of girls doing like a birthday shot. That's it. I've never seen her like actually have a drink. She always gets a Pepsi. She's a huge Pepsi drinker. She keeps tons of Pepsi at her house. She loves Pepsi. You know, and that's somebody that's not an alcoholic and they don't need alcohol in their life. And I need people like that too, that I realize aren't just alcoholics and they don't drink, but they're normal folk like everybody else and they choose not to have alcohol in their life. Because see, if I'm constantly comparing myself to the fact that that only people that don't drink are alcoholics, then I'm not gonna see that there are a lot of normal people out there that don't drink. I have to tell you, like, so you know the 4 years that I didn't go to meetings and we were going out a lot, I would like watch a lot of people's drinking, and I can remember like seeing friends of ours, like I'm thinking of friends in our head, and they literally would order a drink when we got there, and like a vodka tonic or something, right? And I would notice that they literally had that drink for like 2 hours in their hand, like the same drink. And it would drive me crazy as an alcoholic because I would be like, oh my God, like you're just drinking that one drink? And then they would put it down and it would be like watered down and then they hadn't even finished it. I'm like, oh my God, they're like, what? We don't waste alcohol. Like I used to say that back in the day, you know? I think Alex and his friends said that too back in the day. But you know, like that's kind of like a college, I think, mentality or an alcoholic mentality or whatever. But it's like, there are people that drink successfully and then they choose to, you know, like a lot of my friends, like once they start having kids and stuff, they're like, oh no, we quit smoking pot or we quit drinking. We just don't want that anymore in our life, you know? And it's important for me to see that there are a lot of like normies out there, which is what we call you in recovery. There are a lot of normies out there that, I don't love that word, but that is what people refer to it as. There's a lot of normies out there that don't, or normal people that just choose not to drink or choose to drink a beer or a margarita every once in a blue moon. And they're completely fine with that, you know? How did I get here? I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a little nervous to go down tomorrow too. But you know, with Alex's friend passing, we never saw, like, they didn't have an open casket. We didn't ever see a body. I didn't really feel like there was a lot of closure with that. And actually the day after, Alex said it's really hitting him hard. And so, like, I still with that, like, it feels weird. Like, I didn't see him as much as Alex did or talk to him. So for me, I would see him maybe every other week or, you know, something like that. So for me, it's weird because it doesn't seem like, you know what I mean? But with my friend, like, it's the same way. Like, I haven't talked to him in a long time because he was in an assisted living program and stuff, and then he went to go, I guess, live with his mom, and he was in hospice. But he was so out of it because of his organ failure stuff. The last time that I saw him, it just was, I don't know, that he couldn't really have conversation with people about stuff. And I think I'm never afraid of emotion, but I'm a little afraid that tomorrow I'm going to have some overwhelming emotion as a result of this. I think they are having an open casket, just fine, you know, great. I think it'll be good closure for me, but I haven't really... he was a really good friend of mine, you know? He stayed with us a lot. Our guest bedroom was really his bedroom. I can see him like laying in there, you know, reading. And we took so many road trips together. Tani was even asking about him tonight because she knew him too. And she had this like 4th of July thing or something that we went to, and she had like this volleyball net up. She always puts a volleyball net up in the back. She was talking about something about that, and I was thinking about him, you know, and it's like, I don't know. Tomorrow will be good for me. I've heard a lot of people say in the last 2 weeks, like, in talking about people that have passed, well, I made peace with them, or I made peace with this, or I don't really guess I know what that means, to make peace with something. I don't know. Does that mean you just come to terms with it? You accept it? This adulting thing of losing people really sucks. I don't really want to accept that that's what my life is like, but I guess, like, it's taken me losing a lot of people to realize that that's kind of what life is about, that you have people in your life and then you lose them sometimes, you know? But it's not easy for any of us. I'm not any different than anybody else. It's hard for all of us, you know? And, in a weird way, like, I'm really happy that my friend's not suffering anymore, because he did for a really long time, and I know he wasn't happy when living in this assisted living program, because he told us that he wasn't happy. But I feel privileged to have been in his life, and I just guess I want to pay honor to that tomorrow. I've kind of decided that if they ask anybody to speak at the end, I mean, because I have kind of like I think it's going to be a lot of family, that like I have some funny stories to share that I'd like to share, so I may speak tomorrow if they ask if there's anybody that wants to speak. I think it's the right thing to do, you know? Yeah, I was thinking about this tonight, like, I know a lot of people that have kind of said, well, I made my peace years ago, and I'm not gonna, you know, go and I think about like sitting around talking to him. God, we had so much fun. You know, he was so funny, and I just can't imagine talking to him and he'd be like, well, if I died, would you come to my funeral? And then I would be like, no, because I would have made peace with you years ago. You know, I think I would have been like, of course I'll be there for the whole thing. Isn't it weird how somebody can be sitting in your living room or in your car, and then like your next memory of them is that they're gone? Like, you know, it's just weird, isn't it? Life is weird. So, but I'm very thankful that I had the friendship with him. It was fun. More than anything, we had a lot of fun. And I'm thankful for that. God, fun is so minimized, isn't it? I mean, it really is. We want to get deep and have serious relationships, but my God, sometimes we just need to have fun people in our lives, you know what I mean? And I will say, for a very long period of time in my life, he was that person. He was my fun friend, and I am so thankful for that. He brought so much fun in my life, and just so much humor, and just hilarious guy, you know, and I'm thankful for that. So that will be tomorrow. Now, I might be vlogging on my way down there, my way back, because I might try to get the vlog done, or part of it done during the day. And it's only like an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half on the way down there, but I'm gonna try to get that done tomorrow. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here now. I said it wasn't gonna be long, and I think it's close to probably an hour, and I am almost home. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna upload tonight's vlog, or get it published tonight, not this vlog, but the one from the night before that you're watching this, and hang out with Alex for a little while, and then, yeah, I might go see Valerie. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I mean, it's getting kind of late now. It's 10:41, something. Yeah. And so I hope you guys are having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. Oh my God, the battery's dying already too. That hasn't happened in a long time. I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. I actually have another bad battery just in case, but I'm gonna finish it now. And okay, I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Thank you guys for watching every day and for commenting and leaving blue hearts and thumbs up and subscribing and interacting with me. You guys, it just makes me so happy. I love it and I appreciate it, and I don't say thank you enough. And look in the mirror, tell yourself that you love yourself. Don't forget, I love you. Tell somebody else, pass it on, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you.